Chosen one, God sent you the exact miracle you needed, for you. When you hear that the exact miracle you needed has been sent to you, it is important to understand that miracles do not always arrive in the form we expect. Many people imagine miracles as sudden, dramatic events that instantly erase all difficulty. But more often, the miracle shows up as the precise shift, opportunity, realization, or support that allows you to move forward when you were previously stuck. It may not remove every challenge, but it changes the direction, the momentum, or the capacity you have to handle what comes next. And that is often far more powerful than a quick fix. Stay with this message until the very end, because each layer brings deeper clarity. And write your warmest wishes in the comments, and include the number 144 as a symbol of focused intention, alignment, and positive expectation. This is the only place where wishes are mentioned, because from here forward the focus turns fully toward awareness, growth, and understanding how to recognize what has already been placed in your path. Now, chosen one, press the hype button, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's start. Sometimes the miracle arrives as clarity. You suddenly see what needs to be done, what needs to change, or what is no longer working. This clarity may feel uncomfortable at first because it removes excuses and illusions, but it gives you direction. Direction is powerful because without it, effort becomes scattered and progress feels slow. Other times, the miracle arrives as emotional stability. You find that you are calmer than you used to be, less reactive, and more able to think clearly when stress appears. This inner steadiness may not look impressive on the outside, but it completely changes how you experience challenges. When you can regulate your emotions, you can solve problems instead of being overwhelmed by them. The miracle may also arrive as the right connection at the right time. Someone offers advice, support, or opportunity that aligns exactly with what you need to learn or do next. These connections often appear naturally when you are ready to receive them, not when you are desperately searching. Sometimes the miracle is simply endurance. You made it through something that once felt impossible. You survived emotional strain, financial pressure, uncertainty, or disappointment. And you are still here, still trying, still learning. That survival has changed you. It has strengthened your resilience and expanded your capacity. Another form of miracle is the closing of doors that were leading you in the wrong direction. It may not have felt good when it happened, but it protected you from paths that would have cost you more in the long run. Protection is often mistaken for loss until time reveals what was avoided. The miracle may also appear as motivation returning after a period of exhaustion. You begin to feel energy again, curiosity again, interest in growth again. This renewal signals that you are ready to engage with life at a higher level of responsibility and intention. Sometimes the miracle is not what you received, but what you no longer tolerate. You stop accepting disrespect, instability, or patterns that undermine your well-being. This change in standards quietly reshapes your future by influencing every decision you make from that point forward. The miracle can also be the development of discipline. You begin following through more consistently. You manage your time better. You take responsibility for habits that shape your outcomes. Discipline may not feel spiritual or miraculous, but it is one of the most powerful forces for long-term transformation. Another subtle miracle is learning to rest without guilt. You recognize that recovery is part of growth, not a sign of weakness. This shift protects your health and allows you to perform better when you are active. The miracle may also show up as courage. You take steps you once avoided. You speak up when something matters. You try even when success is not guaranteed. Courage opens doors that comfort keeps closed. Sometimes the miracle is acceptance. You stop fighting realities you cannot change and begin working with what is. This acceptance reduces emotional exhaustion and frees energy for constructive action. Another form of miracle is improved focus. You stop spreading yourself thin and begin investing effort where it matters most. This focus increases the impact of your actions and shortens the distance between effort and results. The miracle may also arrive as forgiveness. You release resentment that was keeping you tied to the past. This emotional release improves mental clarity and physical health. Sometimes, the miracle is perspective. You realize that what once felt like failure was actually training. You see how challenges built skills and strength that now support your growth. Another miracle is learning to trust yourself. You rely more on your own judgment and less on constant external validation. This trust strengthens independence and confidence. The miracle may also be learning to ask for help. You allow support instead of trying to carry everything alone. This openness improves outcomes and reduces unnecessary stress. Sometimes the miracle is simply timing. Things align in a way that makes progress possible now, when it was not before. Preparation meets opportunity, and movement begins. Another subtle miracle is emotional maturity. You respond instead of reacting. You choose calm communication over escalation. This maturity strengthens relationships and protects your energy. The miracle may also appear as renewed purpose. You remember what matters to you and why you started. This sense of meaning fuels persistence when motivation fades. Sometimes the miracle is structure. You create routines that support focus, health, and learning. These systems reduce chaos and increase stability. Another miracle is self-compassion. You stop punishing yourself for past mistakes and start encouraging yourself to improve. This supportive inner dialogue strengthens resilience. The miracle may also be boundaries. You say no when necessary. You protect your time and energy. These boundaries preserve your capacity to grow. Sometimes the miracle is clarity about what no longer fits. You outgrow habits, roles, or expectations. Letting go makes space for better alignment. Another miracle is patience. You trust gradual progress and stop demanding instant results. This patience protects long-term commitment. The miracle may also be increased awareness. You notice patterns, triggers, and opportunities that once passed unnoticed. Awareness allows intentional change. Sometimes the miracle is responsibility. You accept ownership of your choices and their consequences. This ownership gives you power to shape outcomes. Another subtle miracle is gratitude for small improvements. You recognize growth even when it is not dramatic. This appreciation stabilizes motivation. The miracle may also be renewed creativity. You generate ideas, solutions, and possibilities that move you forward. Creativity expands options. Sometimes the miracle is stability. Even if circumstances are not perfect, you feel more grounded inside. This inner stability supports clear thinking. Another miracle is adaptability. You adjust when plans change instead of giving up. This flexibility keeps progress alive. The miracle may also be consistency. You keep showing up, even on ordinary days. Consistency compounds into meaningful results. Sometimes the miracle is wisdom. You choose better responses because you have learned from experience. This wisdom protects future opportunities. Another miracle is alignment between your values and your actions. You live more honestly with yourself. This integrity strengthens peace of mind. The miracle may also be readiness. You are more prepared now than you were before. Preparedness allows opportunity to become progress. Sometimes the miracle is realizing that you are not who you used to be. You have grown in ways that are easy to overlook because growth happens gradually. Another miracle is hope returning after discouragement. You feel possibility again. Hope energizes effort. The miracle may also be clarity about priorities. You invest energy where it truly matters. This focus accelerates growth. Sometimes the miracle is simply survival. You endured, and that endurance changed you. As this first part settles, understand this. The exact miracle you needed may not have looked like a dramatic rescue, but it arrived in the form of growth, clarity, strength, discipline, protection, and readiness. These are not small gifts. They are the foundations of lasting change. What has been placed in your life now is not only meant to help you feel better, but to help you move forward with greater stability and wisdom. And as you continue, you may begin to see that what once felt like delay was actually preparation, and what once felt like struggle was shaping your capacity to receive what comes next. As you continue reflecting on what has already shifted, you may begin to notice that your sense of readiness feels different than before. You are not just hoping that things will improve, you are actively preparing for improvement. This preparation shows up in small but meaningful ways, organizing your days, refining your goals, strengthening your habits, and becoming more intentional about how you use your energy. These are not random behaviors. They are signals that you are positioning yourself to handle what is unfolding. You may also notice that your emotional reactions to uncertainty are calmer. Situations that once triggered anxiety now feel more manageable. This does not mean you suddenly have all the answers. It means you trust your ability to navigate challenges as they appear. This trust reduces fear and increases resilience, which are essential for moving forward when outcomes are not yet fully visible. Another important development is how you handle responsibility. Instead of seeing it as something that limits your freedom, you begin to see it as something that expands your control over your life. Responsibility gives you leverage. It allows your decisions to shape your circumstances more directly. This shift transforms effort into empowerment rather than burden. You may also notice that your standards for yourself continue to rise in healthy ways. You expect consistency. You value integrity. You care about follow-through. These standards are not about perfection, but about alignment between what you say you want and what you actually do. This alignment builds self-respect, and self-respect strengthens confidence. As your sense of clarity grows, you may also experience improved focus. You spend less time scattered across too many goals and more time invested in what truly matters. This focus reduces frustration and increases the feeling that your effort is producing real movement. You may also find that your communication becomes more intentional. You choose words more carefully. You express needs more clearly. You listen more fully. This improves understanding and reduces unnecessary conflict, allowing relationships to support your growth rather than drain your energy. Another sign of the miracle working quietly in your life is increased patience with process. You stop demanding immediate results and begin trusting gradual improvement. This patience allows skills, stability, and confidence to develop naturally without constant pressure. You may also notice that your tolerance for self-sabotaging behaviors decreases. You become more aware of habits that undermine your progress and take steps to replace them. This self-correction is not harsh, it is practical. You recognize that growth requires adjusting what no longer serves you. As your emotional intelligence strengthens, you may also experience better regulation during stressful moments. You pause before reacting. You think before responding. This emotional control protects your relationships and your decision-making. You may also find that your confidence becomes more consistent across different areas of life. You trust your ability to handle challenges at work, in relationships, and in personal goals. This consistency supports courage when facing unfamiliar situations. Another important shift is how you relate to time. You plan ahead more thoughtfully. You value preparation over last-minute effort. This planning reduces stress and increases the quality of your outcomes. You may also notice that your sense of purpose becomes more grounded. Instead of feeling like something you are waiting to discover, purpose begins to show up in daily choices and responsibilities. You see meaning in building, improving, and contributing. As your internal structure strengthens, you may also become more comfortable with saying no. You protect your priorities and your energy. This boundary setting supports focus and prevents burnout. You may also experience increased pride in consistency. You recognize that showing up repeatedly, even when progress feels slow, is what creates long-term change. This recognition reinforces discipline. Another sign of inner growth is how you interpret challenges. Instead of seeing them as signs that you are failing, you see them as signals that you are stretching beyond previous limits. This perspective keeps you engaged rather than discouraged. You may also notice that your emotional attachment to past mistakes continues to fade. You stop defining yourself by what went wrong and begin identifying with what you are learning and building. This forward focus supports confidence. As clarity increases, you may also find that your financial or practical decisions become more thoughtful. You consider long-term stability rather than short-term relief. This foresight protects future security. You may also experience increased willingness to invest in yourself through learning, skill development, or healthier routines. This investment strengthens your capacity to handle future opportunities. Another important development is how you manage expectations of others. You stop overextending yourself to maintain approval. You communicate honestly about what you can and cannot do. This honesty supports healthier relationships. You may also notice that your emotional resilience continues to improve. When disappointments happen, you recover faster and refocus on solutions. This resilience keeps progress moving. As your habits align more closely with your goals, you may also feel more in control of your direction. You are not waiting for circumstances to change. You are actively shaping how you respond to them. You may also find that your confidence becomes quieter but more reliable. You do not need to announce growth. You experience it internally through greater stability and clearer decision-making. Another shift is how you experience ambition. It becomes less frantic and more deliberate. You plan, prepare, and execute with patience rather than rushing. This approach supports sustainability. You may also notice that your gratitude becomes more focused on growth than on comfort. You appreciate the strength and skills you are developing, not just the outcomes you hope to receive. This gratitude supports motivation. As your awareness continues, you may also recognize that you are more prepared now than you were before, even if you do not yet see full results. This preparedness is itself a form of progress. You may also find that your relationship with uncertainty becomes more cooperative. You accept that not everything can be controlled, but you remain active in shaping what you can influence. This balance reduces stress. Another important development is how you manage energy across your day. You schedule demanding tasks when you are most alert and allow rest when needed. This energy management supports performance. You may also notice that your sense of accountability continues to strengthen. You take responsibility for improvement rather than waiting for ideal conditions. This ownership empowers change. As your internal alignment deepens, You may also feel more at peace with your pace. You stop comparing your timeline to others and focus on what is right for you. This acceptance supports confidence. You may also experience increased clarity about what kind of stability you want to build, not just what kind of breakthrough you want to experience. This long-term vision guides decisions. Another shift is how you respond to setbacks. You analyze and adjust rather than giving up. This adaptability protects momentum. You may also notice that your emotional balance improves even during busy periods. You maintain routines that support recovery and focus. This stability protects health. As this second part settles, understand this. The miracle that was sent to you is not only about changing circumstances, but about strengthening your capacity to meet those circumstances with clarity, discipline, and resilience. What is growing inside you now is the ability to sustain improvement, to protect what you build, and to continue moving forward even when challenges remain. This internal shift is what transforms opportunity into lasting progress. And it is already working in your favor, even if the full picture has not yet fully revealed itself. As this process continues, you may begin to notice that your sense of identity becomes more stable. You are less defined by temporary situations and more grounded in your values, habits, and long-term intentions. This stability changes how you interpret events. Success does not inflate you, and difficulty does not collapse you. You remain centered, which allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of emotionally. You may also notice that your relationship with effort becomes healthier. You no longer associate effort only with struggle. You begin to see it as a normal part of building anything meaningful. This shift reduces resistance and makes consistency easier to maintain. Another important development is how you handle responsibility for your own growth. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and begin improving within current circumstances. This proactive mindset accelerates learning and strengthens confidence in your ability to shape outcomes. You may also find that your attention becomes more disciplined. You are less likely to drift into distractions that offer temporary relief but delay progress. This discipline protects your momentum and increases the impact of your daily actions. As your emotional intelligence deepens, you may also become more comfortable acknowledging feelings without letting them control behavior. You recognize stress, disappointment, or uncertainty, but you do not allow them to dictate your decisions. This balance supports both mental health and practical effectiveness. You may also notice that your sense of accountability continues to strengthen. You take responsibility not only for actions, but also for attitudes and reactions. This awareness gives you greater control over how you experience situations. Another shift is how you approach planning. You think in terms of systems rather than isolated tasks. You build routines that support consistent performance instead of relying on bursts of motivation. These systems reduce decision fatigue and protect long-term productivity. You may also find that your confidence in your ability to learn grows. You are not afraid of new challenges because you trust that you can adapt. This learning confidence supports courage and exploration. As your mindset matures, you may also experience increased clarity around what kind of success actually matters to you. You begin to prioritize stability, peace, and sustainability, rather than only status or recognition. This redefinition of success influences how you allocate time and energy. You may also notice that your tolerance for chaos decreases. You prefer organized environments and predictable routines because they support focus and emotional balance. This preference strengthens daily efficiency. Another important development is how you respond to unexpected obstacles. Instead of interpreting them as proof that you are off track, you treat them as adjustments within the process. This flexible mindset keeps you engaged, rather than discouraged. You may also find that your communication becomes more strategic. You express expectations clearly, ask questions when needed, and avoid unnecessary conflict. This clarity improves collaboration and reduces stress. As your internal structure strengthens, you may also feel more comfortable with leadership in your own life. You make decisions with intention and accept responsibility for outcomes. This ownership builds confidence and direction. You may also notice that your emotional reactions to comparison soften. You are less influenced by others' timelines and achievements. You remain focused on your own progress, which protects motivation. Another shift is how you experience setbacks. You recover more quickly and remain oriented toward solutions. This resilience protects long-term momentum. You may also find that your habits around self-care become more consistent. You prioritize sleep, nutrition, movement, and recovery because you recognize their impact on performance. This care supports both physical and mental capacity. As your patience increases, you may also become more comfortable with gradual improvement. You stop expecting instant transformation and instead trust steady progress. This patience supports persistence. You may also notice that your sense of purpose becomes more integrated into everyday actions. You see meaning in building skills, supporting others, and improving systems, not just in reaching big milestones. Another important development is how you manage emotional boundaries. You are more selective about what you absorb from others. You protect your mental space and avoid unnecessary emotional entanglement. This boundary setting supports clarity. You may also find that your confidence in problem-solving grows. You approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear. This mindset encourages creative solutions. As your sense of self-direction strengthens, you may also experience less need for constant reassurance. You trust your decisions and adjust when necessary. This independence supports maturity. You may also notice that your reactions to pressure become more measured. You break tasks into manageable steps and avoid panic. This structured response supports productivity. Another shift is how you handle responsibility during difficult periods. You maintain routines even when motivation dips. This consistency protects long-term progress. You may also find that your emotional stability improves in relationships. You communicate needs calmly and avoid unnecessary drama. This stability strengthens trust. As your awareness grows, you may also recognize that your priorities are shifting toward long-term well-being rather than short-term gratification. This shift supports healthier decisions. You may also notice that your self-respect becomes more evident in how you treat your own time. You avoid wasting it on activities that do not support growth or recovery. This respect strengthens productivity. Another important development is how you view mistakes. You treat them as information rather than as personal failure. This learning orientation supports improvement. You may also find that your confidence becomes less dependent on outcomes and more based on effort and integrity. This stable confidence protects emotional balance. As your habits align more closely with your values, you may also feel more at peace with your direction. You are not rushing to prove yourself. You are focused on building steadily. You may also notice that your emotional resilience allows you to support others more effectively. You offer calm presence instead of reactive advice. This support strengthens relationships. Another shift is how you respond to uncertainty about timing. You remain engaged with preparation rather than worrying about exact dates or outcomes. This readiness protects opportunity. You may also find that your sense of commitment deepens. You stick with goals even when progress is not immediately visible. This commitment supports long-term achievement. As your confidence in your own growth strengthens, you may also become more open to new responsibilities. You trust that you can learn and adjust. This openness supports advancement. You may also notice that your emotional responses to success remain grounded. You celebrate progress, but continue working. This balance supports sustainability. Another important development is how you manage expectations of yourself. You challenge yourself, but you also allow rest and recovery. This balanced approach protects health. You may also find that your sense of direction continues to sharpen. You know what you are building and why. This clarity supports motivation. As this third part settles, understand this. What is unfolding within you now is a deeper capacity for consistency, clarity, and responsible growth. The miracle you needed is not only about receiving something new, but about becoming someone who can manage, protect, and expand what is placed in your hands. You are developing the habits, emotional balance, and strategic thinking that allow progress to continue even when conditions are not perfect. This internal transformation is quiet, but it is powerful because it determines not only what you reach, but what you are able to keep and build upon once you arrive. As this stage continues to unfold, you may begin to notice that your relationship with control becomes more balanced. You no longer feel the need to force outcomes or rush processes just to feel secure. Instead, you focus on doing your part with consistency and allowing results to develop through steady effort. This balance reduces emotional strain and keeps your attention on what truly matters. You may also notice that your patience becomes more active rather than passive. You are not simply waiting and hoping. You are preparing, learning, refining, and strengthening yourself while things take time to develop. This kind of patience builds momentum even when visible results are still forming. Another important shift is how you handle pressure from expectations, both internal and external. You become more selective about which expectations you accept and which you release. You no longer carry every demand, as if it defines your worth. This discernment protects your confidence and prevents unnecessary burnout. You may also find that your sense of personal authority grows. You trust your judgment more, and you are less easily influenced by opinions that do not align with your values or goals. This independence strengthens decision-making and reduces emotional confusion. As your emotional stability continues to improve, you may also notice that conflict affects you differently. You address issues calmly and directly when necessary, and you let go of situations that do not require your energy. This clarity keeps you from becoming entangled in unnecessary drama. You may also experience increased clarity about long-term priorities. Instead of focusing only on immediate tasks, you consider how daily actions contribute to larger goals. This perspective helps you make choices that support future stability rather than short-term convenience. Your actions start working in harmony with your future instead of against it, creating smoother paths instead of repeated cycles of correction.